last time. Alright, just testing the audio. Let me know if you can hear the audio, if everything sounds okay. Excuse me. Let me know if you can also hear, let me pull up this essential jazz piano exercise. Let me know if the video is okay. This is our live weekly piano lesson for everyone who is part of my weekly group online piano lessons. Thank you for everyone who is part of my weekly online group piano lessons. I have so much fun and I love hearing your comments and feedback, and it's great. If you would like to ask a question, please leave a comment in the chat below. Everyone should be muted, and since we have a lot of people watching live, some will be watching the rebroadcast, because we are recording this and then we upload this within the course. So anyone who has access to all of the cool songs from the Cool Song series and the weekly piano lessons, those of you who have signed up for our weekly piano lessons, you have access to all of the previous videos as well. We just barely started last month, and I'm excited. I am really excited about these weekly online group piano lessons. So thank you guys. Leave a comment below and I will be looking at the comments. I will be reading them. I may answer, and speak directly to you. I may just be answering in general, just generically, and you may not know that I'm answering your question, but I will be answering your question. Today, since this is the Virtuoso stage, we actually are picking up at the very end of the Cool Songs for Cool Kids Book 2. Remember, with these weekly piano lessons, we have 4 piano lessons every month. If there's a 5th week, we don't have lessons on that 5th week, but we have 4 piano lessons, live piano lessons, every single month. And we have 3 different stages. So some of you may be enrolled in our primer level, beginner level stage. That is known as the apprentice stage. Some of you may be enrolled in our more early intermediate level stage, and that is the maestro stage. And some of you are enrolled in, well, everyone who is watching this video right now, you're all enrolled in the virtuoso stage. If you are enrolled in the virtuoso stage, you actually have access to the apprentice stage and the maestro level stage. So if you are a family and you have paid for the monthly tuition of the Virtuoso level package, you actually have access to the apprentice stage and to the maestro stage, and also this weekly piano lesson in the Virtuoso stage. So trying to give everyone a lot of resources, and the nice thing is you can actually watch all of the videos. Remember, the apprentice stage, every Thursday it's a 30-minute piano lesson, live piano lesson with me. And then the maestro stage, every Thursday it's a 45-minute piano lesson. Since this is the virtuoso stage, every Thursday we have an hour-long piano lesson for the virtuoso stage. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Last week we did not have a lesson because it was the 5th week, but also because it was the 4th of July week, that weekend. We're going to pick up where we left off with Cool Songs for Cool Kids Book 2. We had been working on the Gigabyte Guru, and before that we had been working on Pogo Stick Punch-Out. Let me quickly review Pogo Stick Punch-Out and the Gigabyte Guru. I will play those for you. If you would like to, you can go back within the course and you can re-watch the previous videos where I teach you how to play these cool songs. But let me review these and then we'll keep moving forward as we go along. I'm excited. We'll cover, again, we talked about the blues pentascale, we talked about blues chords, the minor 7th, we talked about the dominant 7th. We'll review some of those and talk about that chord progression that we had been working on, where we were doing a 12-bar blues. So we'll review that a little bit. Some of that is also contained in my book, Essential Jazz Piano Exercises, for those of you who have purchased that book. So let me go to the overhead view right now. I'll change. Remember when we were talking about the blues scale and what we can do with that blues scale? What I would like to do is I would like to, first off, just play Pogo Stick Punch Out, and I will play what is written. This is on page 32, well, pages 32 and 33 from my book, Cool Songs for Cool Kids, Book 2. So let me play Pogo Stick Punch Out. So that is Pogo Stick Punch Out. Now that is found on page 32 and 33, and we went 2 weeks ago, we went over this lesson and I explained everything. I taught how to break that apart, do the walking bass. You can re-watch that video, go back and watch that from a few weeks ago. This is the Gigabyte Guru, where we're playing a similar left-hand walking bass pattern, where instead of doing the full broken sixth chord that we explained and talked about, hold on, sorry, I think I need to reset. Let me go back to the front. I'll come back to the front view, and then I will go back to the overhead view. Sometimes if I pull out the music and I show the music, when with the overhead camera, it tries to zoom in on that individual page, and then it makes everything blurry from the transition. So, apologies about that. But the left hand, remember, we had talked about a broken sixth chord. This is a C6 chord. I break it apart, and we had the minor seventh interval up on top. Well, in the Gigabyte Guru, we don't add that minor seventh, we just break the sixth chord apart. So let me play this for you, and then we'll really go over this lesson a little better and help you really learn the Gigabyte Guru. Let me play it as it is. Now, What is happening here, the left hand is doing the broken sixth chords, and primarily we're going back and forth from the C sixth to the F sixth. Remember, a C sixth, if we have a C major triad, we have C, E, G, and I'm just pulling these fingers back so you can see. We wouldn't play like that. We would have nice curved fingers and a nice curved hand. But here, I'm just pulling the fingers back for demonstration purposes. So you can see the C, E, and G. Now, when you play the C major chord, and then you add the sixth interval up on top, it is known as the C sixth chord, C, E, G, A. See that? There's a C sixth chord broken. We break it apart. And then we go to an F sixth chord. It is an F major triad with that sixth interval, and we combine the two together. So this is an F sixth chord. Sometimes you'll see it referred to as an F major sixth chord, but really it's just an F sixth chord, but technically you could refer to it as an F major sixth chord, and sometimes they even notate it as an F major sixth chord because it's an F major triad, plus this is an F major sixth interval. See that? So you combine the two together, and technically you could say it was an F major sixth chord, but they just refer to it as an F sixth chord. But we have those two chords we're breaking apart. We go back and forth between the two. So what I would like to have you try to do is just do the left hand, page 34. Watch. These are all quarter notes, so we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In measure 11, we start doing what is known as a whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern. And it even says on the page right below that measure, it says whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern. From any key to another key is a whole step when you have a key in between. See that right there? So this is known as a whole step. The half step would be those two from C to C sharp. That would be a half step. Now the half step this is known as the chromatic scale. We're moving up chromatically in half steps. You can take one finger and just go up chromatically. I'm just moving up chromatically in half steps. That is all I am doing. Well, when we say a whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern, we are doing a whole step, and then we are doing a half step, followed by another half step. So if I start on C, the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern would be C, D, E flat, E natural. Now, you can also think D sharp. Generally, you would write it as an E flat. In the book, I think I may even have put it as a D sharp sometimes to demonstrate that half step as we're moving up and down. So watch. Starting there, measure 11, this is what the left hand does. It does the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern starting on C. And then we go to F and we do the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern starting on F. Then we go to D and do the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern starting on D. And then we do the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern starting on G. And we follow that pattern. again, these are quarter notes. 1, so I'm in measure 15 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all I'm doing with my left hand. Let me go to measure number 23 on page 35. 1, and we change things. Actually, let me go back. I'll go back to measure 19 now. Okay, measure 19, we change from the whole half-half, we go back to the broken sixth chord, starting in measure 19 on page 35. Then we go to F, back to C, back to F, back to C, F, C, F. Measure 27, we go back to the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern. See that? Measure 31, we go back to the broken sixth chord. That is what the left hand pattern does. Now the right hand, we're going to be descending, and we're actually using a lot of the notes from the blues pentascale. The C blues pentascale goes from C to G, and we play C, E flat, F, F sharp, G. These are the first 5 notes of the full blues scale. See that? I'm moving up and I'm moving down. Well, easiest way to learn how to play all of your blues scales, and we can do this in any key, is to play a minor triad. Instead of the major triad, which is C, E, G, we're going to play the minor triad, which is C, E flat, G. See that? And then we're going to have half a step below the pinky, half a step below the fourth finger. So minor triad, 1, 2, 5 fingering. Fourth finger is half a step below the pinky. Third finger is half a step below the fourth finger. See that right there? This is the blues pentascale. Now we can do this in every key. We can play around with that however we want, but in this particular piece with the Gigabyte Guru, we are combining the blues pentascale with the chromatic scale. So we're blending the two together. So watch what the right hand does, starting in measure 1. Now we're swinging the eighth notes. Anytime you swing the eighth notes, it's a long, short, long, short, long, short. So we have this long, short, 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 long, short. See, we're going back and forth. You swing the eighth notes. So instead of just doing this little 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, we're we're swinging it. It makes it sound jazzy and really it's an exciting way to play. So as we play this, and we're just going back and forth, see how we're going up and then we come down again. When we put both hands together, it creates that jazzy sound. Again, the left hand is just playing straight quarter notes, but the right hand is swinging the eighth notes. Now, the Gigabyte Guru, and again, we are just working from my book, Cool Songs for Cool Kids, Book 2. It has 21 fun piano solos for intermediate level piano students. And then this, we're near the tail end of this book. It's more late intermediate, and then we'll start getting into more of the advanced pieces. But with this, these two especially, Gigabyte Guru and the previous one that we just did, Pogo Stick Punch Out, they're jazzy. But I want you to learn how to apply, how to play around with these different patterns. Now, what I'd like to have you try to do is with your left hand, we're going to try to play around with the whole half-half left hand walking bass pattern. I composed this music to teach you how to begin to improvise and play around for yourself. Now, you all have heard, I love the three main areas I like to focus on. One is music theory, one is improvisation, and one is composition. I refer to them as theory therapy, innovative improvisation, and creative composition. Those are the three main areas I like to focus on because I want to teach you the music theory where you know how to play anything, because I want you to be able to read the music. You know, think of music theory on the one hand, but then think of arranging, improvising, and composing on the other hand. We're trying to get both to line up, where you can do both together. Now, if we start with just that broken sixth chord, and we break it apart, and we follow this pattern of doing C to F, back to C, it's just a broken sixth chord. Well, what if I did that and just went back and forth between the two for now? See that? With the right hand, you remember how I said that the Gigabyte Guru is a combination of two scales. It's the chromatic scale with the blues scale. And for those of you who haven't learned or mastered the chromatic scale yet, only use 3 fingers for the chromatic scale. put your second finger on C and F. So your second finger only plays C and F. Your third finger is going to play all of the black keys, and your thumb is going to play all of the white keys except for C and F. So watch. Think of this as 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. So we're just going up and down. That's the chromatic scale. And you can start to even swing the eighth notes. Remember how we talked about long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, and I'm going back and forth. If I did this left-hand walking bass pattern, and I just practiced doing that scale, swinging the eighth notes, watch this. Now, I can go up or I can go back down as well. I can go in any direction I want. Watch again. Now I went up and then I went back down. I'm playing around. All I'm doing, I'm just creating something, and I'm using my right hand just playing a scale. It happens to be the chromatic scale. Now, the blues pentascale we talked about, first 5 notes of the blues scale. Remember, I said play your minor triad. Fourth finger is half a step below the pinky, and then third finger is half a step below that. For now, let's just worry about the blues pentascale, C blues pentascale. So we have C, E flat, F, F sharp, G. Remember, the fingering is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But you can go in any order. What if I think of this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Instead, what if I did 1, 5, 1, 4, C, G, C, G flat or F sharp, C, F, E flat, C, C, E flat, C, F, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 2, bum, 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 bum. I'm just playing around, improvising. Well, what if I did this with my left hand? And with the right hand, I just took the blues pentascale. That's all I'm doing with the right hand. I don't know, I'm just making something up. I don't have anything prepared. I'm just creating. See, I'm trying to teach you how to improvise. With my right hand, I can play those notes in any rhythm I want, in any order. I don't have to stick with C, E flat, F, F sharp, G. I can do C, G, C, F sharp, C, F, E flat, C, or I can do C, C, E flat, C, F, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, F, E flat, C, G, bum, 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 ba, da, do, 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 do. I can play around. With my left hand, I can keep this steady walking bass pattern with my left hand. What if I go up an octave with my right hand up here? That's all I'm doing. That's it. Now if I combine that with the chromatic scale, then I can have some fun. See, we're improvising, we're creating, we're composing on the spot. And it's so much fun to practice doing that. And I would have you, that's the whole reason why I created the Gigabyte Guru in the first place. To help you start to improvise and to learn how you can create and improvise on your own. Now, starting there, when we get to measure 11, the left hand does that whole half-half walking bass pattern. What if we just did that, just to help you improvise and play around? With the left hand, I'm going to play C, D, E flat, E natural, F, G, A flat, A natural, D, E, F, F sharp, G, A, B flat, B natural. Now what we are doing is the whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern. We start on C, C, whole step, half step, half step. Then we go to F. I'm going to cross over and do whole step, half step, half step. Then I go to D and do whole step, half step, half step, and then I go to G, cross over, and do whole step, half step, half step. So the pattern is whole step, half step, half step, but we start on C, whole step, half step, half step, F, whole step, half step, half step, D, whole step, half step, half step, G, whole step, half step, half step. With the right hand, for fun, I'm going to play a 7th chord. This is a C 7th. So watch, with my right hand I'm going to improvise using the notes from the C 7th chord. It's a C major triad. The major 7th has a major 7th interval up on top. C to B is known as a major 7th interval. So if I combine the C major triad with the major 7th interval, that creates a C major 7th chord. Well, if I combine a C major triad with a minor 7th interval, from C to B flat is a minor 7th interval. If I combine those two together, this is known as a C 7th chord. Sometimes it's referred to as the dominant 7th chord. I don't want to confuse you. It's called the dominant 7th because if we were in the key of F major, where we have a B flat in the key signature, F would be the tonic. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant. There's my dominant 7th. Okay? These are additional names and terms, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but I want to explain, and I always like to teach you the theory. Whatever your root position is, if we're in the key of F major, F would be the root, so that would be my tonic. Tonic, supertonic. The word super just means above, like Superman is an above average man. Super means above, so tonic, supertonic. Mediant, the word mediant means middle. The mediant is in between the tonic and the dominant. Tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant. Of course, sub just means below, like subway. So below, or subpar, below average. So tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant. If we were doing the 7th chords, moving to the right, there's my dominant 7th chord. See that? And then if I go on, tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, there's my dominant. Okay? There's my submediant, leading tone, back to the tonic. Okay? So this is the submediant, this is the mediant right here. So It's a nice, helpful way for you to remember. But we're just going to play a C7th chord, C, E, G, B flat. C7th. You can use the 4th finger here, or you can raise the 4th finger in the air, and you can use the pinky 1, 2, 3, 4 fingering, or 1, 2, 3, 5, whichever feels more comfortable for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a 7th chord. My left hand is going to do this pattern. Remember, it's a whole half walking bass pattern. We start on C, whole step, half step, go to F, whole step, half step, go to D, whole step, half step, go to G, whole step, half step. The right hand, I'll just start off by playing the C7th chord. See that? Now, if you notice, when we went to F, that kind of clashed a little bit. Well, try to play the 7th chord for each one. When I played C, I played a C7th chord. So when I play F, I'm actually going to play an F7th chord. This is an F major 7th chord. We have the F major triad with the major 7th interval. That's an F major 7th. So if we take an F major triad with a minor 7th, this is F minor 7th, F to E flat. You combine those two together and this is an F7th chord. F major 7th, F 7th. So here I would play C7th, and then when I hit the F with my left hand, I would go to an F7th with my right hand. See that? Now, over here, when I hit D, I'm going to do a D7th with my right hand. I'm just playing 7th chords, that's all I'm doing. A D major triad, according to the D major scale, and a lot of this is review for most of you. That's a D major scale. We have 2 sharps in the key of D major. We have F sharp and C sharp. So if I go from D to D, my D major scale will have 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So my D major triad is D, F sharp, A. See that? Well, if I have my major 7th interval, we're going to have the C sharp up on top, because this is the major 7th interval. If I do a minor 7th interval, this is my D7th chord. See that? D, F sharp, A, C. That's a D7th. So I start off with C7th, and we do whole half with the left hand, and then we go to F7th, and do whole step, half step with the left hand. Then we go to the D7th with the right hand, while the left hand plays starting on D, whole step, half step, and then we're going to go to the G7th with the right hand. This is a G7th, according to the G major scale. In the key of G major, we have 1 sharp. It's an F sharp. If I go from G to G and play all white keys except for F sharp, that is my G major scale. So if I take a G major triad, GBD, and I add the major 7th, that becomes a G major 7th chord, GBD, F sharp. In my book Essential Piano Exercises, which everyone has access to who is a part of these weekly online piano lessons, you all have already purchased the Cool Song series, Primer Level Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, and it also comes with Essential Piano Exercises as well. All of this is contained within my book Essential Piano Exercises. G major triad with the G, with the F up on top, that's a G7th chord, GBDF. It's a G7th, it's the dominant 7th chord. So if I combine that with my left hand playing the whole half left hand walking bass pattern, we're completing this progression. And then we start over again. Remember, C7th, F7th, D7th, G7th. Let me play it up here. You can see C7th, F7th, D seventh, G seventh, C seventh, F seventh, D seventh, G seventh. I can start to break that apart. If I start from the bottom, I can break it apart bottom to top. And then I can go to F seventh. And then I can go to the D seventh. And then I can go to the G seventh. I'm starting bottom to top. I could start top to bottom. See that? I could, switch it up and do any progression I want. That's all I'm doing. So I can start to play around, keeping this whole half-half left-hand walking bass pattern. These are quarter notes with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the right hand, and it's not written down. I'm just making this up as I go. This is part of the practical application, how you can take the theory from the Gigabyte Guru and you can start playing around with it. Watch, I'm going to take the notes from the C7th chord and just break them apart. Go to F7th, go to D7th, and then G7th. What am I doing? I am improvising. I am just playing around. And you can do, right now, we've only talked about root position. C7th in root position, F7th in root position, D7th in root position, G7th in root position. We have 4 notes in each of these chords. That means we have 4 positions. If C is on the bottom of the C7th chord, that is root position. It's a C 7th chord, so it's root position. Think of it like a tree, and the tree trunk goes down, the roots go into the ground. I love gardening and flowers, so of course I'm always going to be using examples like that. But when it goes down into the ground, the roots are heading down. C, root position. If a big windstorm came and abruptly knocked over the tree, and of course, where I live in northern Utah, we have a lot of strong gusts of wind, and that happens all the time, where the tree will be ripped and flipped upside down. This is a C7th. Root position, if I put the C up on top, that's first inversion. If I put the E on top, that's second inversion. If I put the G on top, that's third inversion. It still is a C7th chord every single time. Root position, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion, back up to root position. See that? I can break it apart. And then we can start to play that just with the walking bass pattern. Well, we could do it blocked. See how we're changing that? Now when I get to F, I could do the same thing on the F7th chord, and the D7th chord, and the G7th chord. That's what I'm doing as I'm playing this. Play an instrument, you need to get it in your brain. You need to understand, you need to know the timing, you need to understand how to count the rhythms, you need to understand the key signatures, scales, chords, chord progressions. You need to understand the theory. But that theory is abstract. You need to then, doing written book work, that's fine to help you get the theory in your head. but most of the time it just stays in your head, and there's this big divide, this gap between music theory and the practical application of music theory. Over here on this side, this is where we have improvisation, arranging. We have composing. This is where we perform. On this side, it's all the theory. It's everything leading up to it, but there's this big divide, this gap. And we're trying to bridge the gap because I want you to get it into your head, then into your hands, and then into your heart. Once you can do that, then you can start the process of sharing your music with others and getting it from your heart to their heart. See, that is why we do everything that we do. It's to teach you the music theory, to help you understand how to progress. Once you progress, then it's helping you understand that you have a talent, you have a gift. And I look at it as a gift from God. I'm religious. I love religion. If you don't, that's fine. That's okay. But it's a gift from God. But you need to work on it. That talent takes work. You need to actually put in the time. You need to put in the effort. You need to practice. You need to work at it. Okay? Or you do it hundreds of times, thousands of times, doing scales, chords, arpeggios, everything. But it's getting it from the head, remember, to the hands, to the heart. That is what we are focusing on. And then from your heart to everyone else's heart, where you can share your music with everyone else. All right, we're almost out of time for today's lesson. I still want you to review. Last time, we had actually reviewed, of course, we did Pogo Stick Punch Out, but then we went into, within the course, we went in and had you work on When Sharks Attack. I still want you to keep working on that, and I know that can take a little more time. You can upload a video of yourself playing Pogo Stick Punch Out or Gigabyte Guru or When Sharks Attack, and we can share that within the private Facebook group page, and others can comment. We can share feedback, encouragement, we can give ideas or suggestions. It's a great way that you can actually, it's almost like returning and reporting, where you can show me what you've done and you can show everyone else who is enrolled and part of these weekly online group piano lessons, and you can share with them what you've learned, because we are all progressing together. We are all improving together. And so what I would like to do is I would like to share, since my company is called Music Motivation, and since I do a lot of motivational speaking, and I go around to churches, I speak at schools, I speak for businesses, and I go around and do that. I have a lot of motivational self-help books that I have created and written as well. Music, I have poetry book. Of course, you know all of my music books, but I have different poetry books that I have created. I have one titled The As If Principle, Motivational Poetry. This is titled Poetry That Motivates. This is titled Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers. And then this is Motivation in a Minute. This has photography that I've taken with motivational messages of inspiration, hope, whatever. So all of the photography, from the covers to the inside photos, these are all photos that I have taken. And then I share a little motivational message. So I thought at the end of each of our lessons, I would like to do this as well and just share. I'm going to share today, well, it'll be from something, one of these, but today I wanted to share from my book, Motivation in a Minute. Book 1, I'm coming out with a set of these motivational books, Motivation in a Minute, this series. And this is Motivation in a Minute, Book 1, but we're going to have Motivation in a Minute for piano teachers, for parents, for school teachers, you know, all different, and it'll be my photography with motivational messages according to those individual groups. But I wanted to read to you today from this book on page, this is page 5. So here's a nice photo. And then this is the first motivational message from this book. It says, make it a goal to make goals. So let me read this. Each of our lessons I want to end with a motivational message to inspire you to do your best, be your best, and learn as much as you can. So this says, make it a goal to make goals. One of the first steps toward accomplishment is knowing what you want to accomplish. You don't need to know every little detail that needs to be done. You don't need to know every little detail that needs to be done, but you should have a general idea of where you're going. First, know where you are and then decide where you would like to end up after everything is said and done. Plans do change, often very quickly, and you won't always be able to accomplish absolutely everything on your to-do list. And that's okay. This should not stop you from doing everything you can to create one in the first place. Make a to-do list and start following it. Here are some ideas. Write down a list of 5 goals to be accomplished today. Write down a list of 5 goals to be accomplished this year. Write down a list of 5 new talents you would like to develop. Write down 5 new skills you would like to learn this year. Write down a paragraph of positivity that you will read each day, morning and night, to help you focus on what matters most. So that is my message today. This is from my book, Motivation in a Minute. All of these books are available from Amazon. You can buy the paperback on Amazon. You can also buy them online from Walmart.com or BarnesandNoble.com. So they're available at many different places. If you just go on and you can buy those if you want to actually have the physical copy. We're going to be coming out with a paperback set soon that we'll be selling on our website, and I have a website, poetrythatmotivates.com. You can check out where it has these motivational self-help books on there as well. But I'd like you to do 2 things this week. In addition to working on your music, I would like to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not done so already. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Jerald Simon, JeraldSimon. And I'd love to have you watch. I have several other free videos that you can watch on there. Videos about motivation, inspiration. I have motivational messages on there. I have original music I've composed from my, 14, 15 albums I've come out with. So you can check out the music on there. But I'd love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, that is youtube.com/Jerald Simon, JeraldSimon. And then I would also love to have you, if you have not done so already, I would love to have you please subscribe to my podcast. I created a podcast a little while ago, and we're doing a lot with the podcast. The last month or so, things have been hectic and crazy, and I haven't added as many podcasts, and we kind of have slacked off a little bit, but we're ramping back up. Every Monday we have a new podcast that is coming out, and you can search for my name, Jerald Simon, JeraldSimon, or you can search for the name of the podcast, and that podcast is titled Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast with Jerald Simon. So I would love to have you check that out. And I just share motivational, inspirational messages every Monday as a great way to kick off the new week to help inspire people. And a lot of the themes, it's about doing our best, being our best today, being better than we were yesterday, and striving to become better tomorrow. It's about sharing a better perspective of how we don't need to be perfect, but we are in a continual process of perfection. We will never be perfect, but we are trying to be better, and people are doing the very best they can. So we should always remember that we are doing the very best we can. We need to be a little easier on ourselves and not be so judgmental of others or of ourselves. We need to give ourselves a little credit, give ourselves a little more inspiration and motivation. So I'd love to have you check that out. Again, you can find that on any podcast platform, iTunes, Amazon, Stitcher, any of the iHeartRadio. It's available everywhere, so you can check that out.